Prince Harry never thought it would come to this, reaching out to the one person he once trusted above all else, only to be met with silence so loud it shook him. For years, Harry and Prince William were inseparable. They weren't just brothers. They were a team, bonded by Eddie, duty, and a shared life under the microscope. But now it feels like they're strangers. And now something must have happened that seriously happened. William just can't stand him anymore. Walking two completely different paths. And the heartbreaking part is Harry's finally realizing that the door he thought might reopen might be sealed for good. It didn't start with one moment, but who's and little ones stacked on top of each other. Harry's decision to step away from royal life with Meghan Markle was already a shock to the system. But had followed. That's where things ent from tense to toxic. Oprah interviews, Netflix specials, tell-all memoirs. It wasn't just Harry sharing his side of the story. It was Harry airing out years of deeply personal wounds. And whether it was fair or not, William took it as betrayal. But now, after everything, the distance, the press wars, the emotional wreckage, Harry's making a quiet move behind the scenes. Not for show, not for headlines, just one brother reaching out to another, hoping there's still something left to salvage. Sources close to the royal circle say Harry recently made an emotional plea to William. Not through an aide, not in a press statement, a real raw attempt to reconnect. But William, he's not picking up phone. He not returning the message. In fact, insiders say he's pulling even further away. And here's the thing, William's not doing it out of pettiness. He's doing it out of pain. Kind of pain that doesn't fade easily. People forget that William's been holding down the fort this entire time. While Harry was in California starting fresh, William was facing the storm head-on, supporting King Charles through royal health scares, holding the monarchy together in the wake of public criticism, protecting Kate, as she navigates her own health challenges. This isn't #TGUST about feelings anymore. It's about legacy. That's what makes this whole situation even messier, because while Harry may be searching for peace, William is focused on preservation. He's not just Harry's brought her. The future king. Every move he makes, every conversation he has carries weight. And right now, giving Harry another shot, feels like a risk he's not willing to take. Not because he doesn't love his brother, but because he doesn't trust what comes next. Let's be honest, William's not blind to the pattern. Every time Harry opens a door, something private seems to leak. A conversation ends up in a podcast, a memory becomes a book chapter. A moment of vulnerability turns into content. Whether it's Harry's fault or not, William sees a cycle, and the cost of that sealer is too high. Meanwhile, Harry's in a very different place. California sunshine can't fix what's broken. His public image back in the UK is in shambles. Meghan is dealing with fresh criticism, and the royalty IEs that once felt unbreakable, they are hanging by a thread. So when Harry picks up the phone this time, it's not a strategy. It's survival. He's realizing that fame and fortune mean nothing without family. But here's the brutal truth. It might be too late. William isn't waiting at the door anymore. He's moved on. He's locked in. And unless something real and radical shifts, Harry might be standing alone on the other side of a wall that's never coming down. William's world looks nothing like Harry's anymore. While one brother is chasing peace across oceans, the other is locked into duty with no room for sentiment. William isn't just avoiding Harry, he's protecting everything he believes he's meant to stand for. #EC Round, the institution, the expectations resting on his shoulders. It's all a delicate machine, and he sees any disruption as a threat. That includes the emotional kind, especially the emotional kind. His not being called just for the sake of it. William's been burned too many times to reach for #are the fire again. After Harry's bombshell interviews and revealing memoir, trust between the brother #RS wasn't just fractured, it was obliterated. What hurt William the most wasn't just the content, but the context. Conversations that once happened behind closed doors were now public property. Nuances were lost and everything sounded like an accusation. It painted him into a corner. And if #rum there, William decided he wasn't going to offer anything that could be turned into a quote ever again. Now his focus is razor sharp. With King Charles facing his own health battles, William has stepped deeper into the role of future monarch. His front and center at Eve #NTS, managing diplomatic pressures, balancing tradition with modernization. At home, he's taking care of his #wife Kate, whose health has also become a major concern. He barely has time to breathe, let alone reopen a wound that still hasn't #healed. And even if he wanted to, would it even look like #? Harry's plea may be heartfelt, but from William's perspective, it's not enough. Words don't mean much when they come after so much damage. What William reportedly wants isn't a text or a phone call. It's real accountability, a sign that Harry understands the gravity of what was lost, that is not just looking for a temporary fix or a guilt-cleansing conversation. William needs to believe that if he opens the door, it won't lead to another headline 6 months later. Meanwhile, people around the palace aren't exactly encouraging a reunion. Advisors, staff, even family members. Many of them are wary of another emotional roller coaster. They've watched the public titles play out. They've seen how every Rico #conciliation turns into another twist in the royal drama. From their view, distance equals stability. And stability is what the monarchy needs most right now. But that doesn't mean William isn't #hurting, too. The silence isn't just strategic. It's heavy. There are nights, according to insiders, when he replays old mem #Oris, childhood laughter in palace corridors, shared grief after Diana's death. The moments when he and Harry were each other's anchor. That kind of bond doesn't vanish. It just gets buried under years of anger, resentment, and pressure, and no one understands that #N more than Kate. Kate was once chew #eat breed dge between the brothers. For years, she tried to smooth things over to keep the connection alive. But being dragged into the public feud changed that. She's withdrawn from that role now, focusing on her own family, her own health, and her growing responsibilities. There's no more space for her to play referee, especially when the stakes are this huge. So, where does it all go from here? That depends on whether either brother is willing to shift. Harry's call may have come from a place of vulnerability, but vulnerability alone won't rebuild trust. And William, for all his royal trainee hashtagging, is still just a man who's been hurt deeply by someone he once loved unconditionally. If this is ever going to be fixed, it's going to take more than one side reaching out. It's going to take both of them doing #thing they haven't done in years, actually listening. There's a certain tragedy in watching two people drift apart. Everyone knows how much they once meant to each other. Harry and William weren't just royal brothers. They were a symbol, a living reminder of Diana's legacy, her resilience, her heart. For years, their closeness gave people hope that maybe, just maybe, the next generation of royals would do things differently. But now, that hope feels like a faded photograph. #RY isn't asking for a throne or a title. What he's asking for is far more human. A moment, a chance, a pause in the noise. But with every UN-answered message, it becomes clearer that William has built a wall so high that even blood can't climb it. And maybe that's not entirely his fault. Being born into the role of future king means everything personal gets filtered through a political lens. There's no such thing as just being a brother anymore. People keep saying time heals all wounds, but in this case, time has only made the silence louder. Harry's are eaching out now, not just because he's lonely, but because he's finally realizing what's slipping away. The family dinners that will never happen. The oozins who won't row up side by side. The future moments that can't be captured because the foundation is broken. He knows life moves fast. He knows regret hits hardest when it's too late to fix things. And this time, he doesn't want to be the guy who waited too long. But here's where things get complicated. Ari still lives in a world that demands content. He may want a quiet moment, but the people around him, producers, publishers, media handlers, often want the opposite. That's the bind liam s. Even if Harry's heart is north the right place, his circumstances raise red flags. Every heartfelt call comes with the question, is this going to end up on a stream next month? That's not to say Harry's intentions aren't real. People close to him say he's more reflective than ever. The California lifestyle, the freedom, it gave him clarity, but also distance. And now that the dust is settling, he is missing the one person who always understood the pressure from the inside. Not Meghan, not friends, William. Because only William knows what it's like to grow up under microscope, to grieve in public, to carry tations that feel impossible. Harry is finally seeing the cost of that lost connection. King Charles has kept his distance, too. Partly because of his own health concerns, and partly because he's just tired. Years of tension have worn him down. And stepping in between his sons feels like reopening wounds hat never fully closed. There's a sense among palace staff that even if he wanted to intervene, he's not sure it would make a difference. He's not the glue anymore. That role once belonged Jed to Diana, and no it's just gone. Some royal watchers are still holding out hope that some of might shift. That maybe one day William will wake up and see not the man who left, but the boy he wants protect #D. That Harry will step back from the headlines and reach out as a brother R, not a public figure. #T hat some weary in all this mess, the two of them can find each other again. Not as royals, not as symbols, but just as brothers. Until that happens, though, they remain on opposite sides of a very thick silence. One is holding out his hand, the other is holding his ground, and the world, for once, isn't watching for the drama. It's watching for something much rarer, reconciliation. Because no crown is worth more than family. And no title can